We are rolling, and I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about you and the position you're running for.
Oh, my name's William Van Leggen, and who doesn't know me, I'm running for Ward 2, the Township of Norwich, for councillor. I was born and raised in Norwich, lived here all my life. Married my wife Mary Ann. We have 6 kids, 5 grandkids. I run 2 companies with my brother in the township. I was involved with the township for many years. I ran before for council, and I was on Dr. Hall fundraising board. I've been on Chamber of Commerce and many other things through the township. That's who I am.
Good. So that's what we've got, folks, and this is how we're starting out. I've got a series of questions that I'm going to ask. They will be, we'll get through as many as we can. I guess it depends on how long-winded you are. And let me start. So, if you're elected, what are your plans to see to it that we have a balanced council for the remainder of your term, fair for all?
Yeah.
So, that's marginalized folks, that's people that have been here a long time, people that have just come in. How do you plan on making that happen, and how do you see that working?
For me, it's real simple. I treat everybody the same.
Okay.
We're all human beings. I'm here for if you look at the township, number 1 would be fire and police services, that we get our best out of our parks and rec, that we get the best out of our infrastructure. North should be open to everybody.
Interesting that you mentioned Parks and Rec and the fire department, because some of those questions will come up later. So this is a bit of a loaded question. You're going to be damned if you do and damned if you don't. I know you're running for Ward 2.
Yep.
What's your priority, Ward 2 or the entire township?
At the end of the day, it's a township in Norwich. We're all part of this township, and we have to work. And I'm going to be the voice. There's no question I'll be the voice for Ward 2. That's where I live. That's where the people that I represent. But we have to work as a whole, because if we're divided as a township, we'll get nothing accomplished.
Excellent. Very good. So at this time in Norwich, this might put you on the hot seat just a little bit. At this time in Norwich, there's plenty of concern about the separation of church and state. Where do you feel, or where do your views align with this? Now, I'm not picking on any one church. This is a question that came in from a citizen, and not necessarily in Ward 2. Some of these were left over from last year. But how do you feel about that? What's your views on that?
There's no question church and state is separate.
Okay.
I come from my family heritage. We're Huguenots from France. Church killed us off. A few of us ran to Holland, and then we came here. Other ones were Quakers, they came here. So one church cannot run the government. It has to be separate.
Good. That's a great answer, William. I think that should appease everyone. What are your thoughts on Big Brothers and Big Sisters returning the grant that they received from the township?
I think any charitable organizations or non-for-profit organizations should try as much as possible to leave politics out of their thing. I think it was a bad mistake for them, because the township, not everybody agrees what the township did. Some people do, but we have to look at the good of people. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a mistake that they returned it.
Okay. With that said, in your mind, does it make them ineligible to receive another grant in the future?
No.
Good. I don't know how that grant program works, whether they had applied for it or not, do you?
I believe every year, budget time, people
Okay.
can apply for grants.
Okay. Okay, excellent. We're making good progress here. Our time is running very well. What will you do if a close friend comes before council requiring or having complaints about permits, road conditions, neighboring properties, etc.? Now, this is a good close friend.
I declare a conflict of interest.
Okay.
It's simple. That's what you have to do.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm going to get you on that a little bit later on too. I've got some other questions that relate around that same thing. So here's a good one, and I'm going to ask your opponent this same question. Well, as I said, I'm going to ask your opponent many of the same questions. If I can arrange to get you and your opponent in front of my camera, would you participate in a debate?
I have no problem with that.
Okay, so let me tell you how that would work. I plan on bringing in 2 people that would ask questions.
Yep.
And we'd have you both in the frame, and go from there. How do you feel about that? Okay,
That's fine.
good. I hope Lynn says the same thing. To add to that,
Yeah.
we could also do a segment where there could be live questions asked on a call-in or a text-in basis. Are you cool with that?
We can do that, but we're running out of time already, Vic.
Yeah.
It's a short campaign.
No, well, yeah, I know, but this could come together pretty quickly. Okay, excellent. Now, we're going to this Parks and Rec thing. Why do we have rental portable washrooms at Harold Bishop Park and at the arena when we have built-in facilities? And if you could change that, how would you go about it? Now think about this one a little bit before you answer, because a lot of people have asked this question.
It would be, for me, it would be a question I'd first have to ask the CAO why they're doing it. Is it staffing shortages? Is it money? For me, everything has to come down to fiscal common sense.
Mm-hmm.
If it's cheaper to open them up, let's open them up.
Well, my fear is vandalism, but I understand that the parks people go around and check frequently throughout the day on each of the facilities. So, I mean, they could go in and check that. So, would you be in favor of eliminating those if we could? The portables?
If we could, and it could also be a safety issue. We don't know. We don't know what they're. I'd have to dig into it more and say a good answer.
Yep, I can live with that. How do you plan to deal with arena crew? We have grass cutting services hired. Well, at the same time, we've got equipment and crew that could be doing it.
Well, as a counselor, we cannot go to staff. It all has to be brought up through the CEO. So I would bring those concerns to the CEO.
Okay.
And the council has one employee, and that's the CAO.
Yep.
And she has to do her job. And so far, I believe she's doing a pretty good job. She's just new at it, but
Yeah, I haven't seen her enough to know, but I think I was at a couple of meetings. I think she is doing a pretty good job. Okay, we're running along here real fast. This might be a short interview. The Burgessville Fire Station had some issues. To your knowledge, has this been resolved? If not, how are we going to fix it?
to my knowledge, it hasn't been resolved yet.
Okay.
And this would be a burr in my side. To me, if there's a problem, let's hit it directly on. Let's figure out the problem and move on. I think of something I would really put pressure on the CEO to do.
In your opinion, who's at fault?
I don't put fault on people.
Well,
I
somebody's at
think it's the process. I'm into construction, and you see this everywhere.
Okay.
To say this is a township fault, I can't say that. It's a building process fault.
Okay.
Because everybody in building has a disclaimer that they can get out of this, get out of that, and trust me, I build cabinets and I work for school board and everything else, and sometimes it's frustrating.
Okay. Yeah, it is frustrating, and I think where my head is at on this is accountability. I think somebody needs to be accountable for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying who it is. It's not necessarily the township, but somebody has to be accountable. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't be the taxpayer.
That's right. I agree.
Okay, good. There have been complaints about the ladder truck being used for medical calls. I think his last name is DePatty. Chief DePatty said that once the medical equipment was transferred from the new truck to the tank truck, they would be sure that this wouldn't happen anymore. But yet I see that the ladder truck still goes out to some of these medical calls. How do you feel about that?
First, this Derek Van Pagey, not DePatty.
Okay, how would you say it?
Van Pagey.
Pagey, okay,
Van
I'm
Pagey.
sorry.
So the way I understand, because my son's a volunteer firefighter.
Yes.
They are purchasing a new tanker truck.
Okay.
So they're not to that stage yet.
Okay.
Right now, if that's what they have, and it saves one person's life, go ahead, take it out. Now, saying that, once they get that tanker truck up and going, it'll save a lot of fuel, put it that way.
Okay, so we've got that third bay sitting there.
Yeah.
He's just used it this time for a pickup truck. How would you feel about the purchase of a rescue truck for rescue calls?
I would have to ask and get numbers on that. Is it worth having the third truck? Because if you load the rescue truck with the rescue paraphernalia, it also has to go to every fire call. So suddenly we have 3 trucks going out to every fire call. So we got to do a study, see if financially what's the best price.
Great. That's the end of this segment. Let's take a break. Hang on.